So you have the right, and we as a community, as Californians, need to start recognizing our rights. I'm an information captain for the Palmdale Freedom Coalition. This is where I came down to kind of involve myself with you guys and let you guys know what we do. When we passed our ordinance in Palmdale, we passed an ordinance that says if any business, let's say you work here and the business says you want to get back, you have to get vaccinated to keep your job, that business will lose their business license. We passed that law. Right.
What kind of person? I wouldn't want to be taught these things when I was little.
Not by a stranger, not by a teacher. Not a teacher, not a stranger. Nobody should be teaching your children about these very sensitive topics.
It's a very sensitive topic. It's something that your brain is not prepared for. It's just not okay.
Not only is it not okay. Like I have like the typical Latino. I have brothers and they have kids, and I would never want to talk to my nieces or nephews about this stuff. Now, if they have questions, I'd be like, go talk to your dad. And if my brother or my sister didn't know, then I want to talk to my brother and sister and say, hey, these are the things you should be telling your kids. It's up to you to deliver the message, not me.
Exactly. Especially because now everybody can have a different idea about, like, there's so many ways people like to express their sexuality, right? And your way may not be okay with my way. So I think like there's always a time and place for everything, a stage, and children should just be children.
And parents should be looking for a safe way for children to express themselves. There are safe ways to play dress up. There are safe ways to kind of be a little bit different. But you as a parent have to put their safety always at first. I mean, your kid says he wants to wear skirts. Okay, well, let's talk about kilts. That's something that's socially acceptable. Maybe it's just the feeling. So it's finding that compromise that I think people just don't understand.
Yeah, I really think that it should leave it down to the parents, whether you're what you're doing is it's good or not. At the end of the day, parents are experimenting their own way of being parents. I used to be a big defender when I was young, to be all like, oh, my parents suck. They didn't know what they were doing. They were new parents, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I rather like my parents, messing up, and then like at the end of the day, I'm a straight consequence of their parenting versus like having like a government teaching me how they want me to be.
And what's even worse is with the laws now, like AB 1955, that takes the rights away from the parents, because if the parents don't affirm the child and the school feels that the parent is a danger to the child, they can define that as whatever they want, and then they can take the child away, put them in foster care. I just saw a video where a social worker from California said on camera that it is the policy of the state of California that at age 10, they're to ask these children their gender, their sexuality, their pronouns. What child at 10 years old understands this? Which is why the state wants to teach them, because they have a law already. Now they need the schools to impose that so that the kids are comfortable having this information.
It's one of those things you ask them, like, why are you doing this? Like, for what reason or purpose do you care so much for children to have this information if it's not to groom them into being more sexually awoken at a young age? And I'm sorry, but there's so much. It's weird because they say like, oh, men are the biggest predators. Yeah, but they're also the ones that are boys are the ones that run the most risk at being like going through SA at a young age. And that's the hardest thing, that it's like, why are they you want to make them think that this is normal, it's okay, so they don't see it as trauma. Right. Like, it's never going to not.
Not only that, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the person, it's dangerous for the soul. I'm a gay man, and I went through that. I was young once, but at some point you find that that's not going to fulfill you. You need to find something more fulfilling, and I thank God that I had parents that taught me right from wrong. They taught me to value my relationships and value myself, and it was when I started leaning into those values that I found the person that I was supposed to be with, and we've been together for 21 years monogamously. This is unheard of in the community, and it upsets me that the movies will use me and my relationship as a pedestal and be like, look, they're normal. Yeah, some of us are normal, but a vast majority of us are not. And I stay away from them. I reject that community because that's all they want is that 5-second nirvana, that ecstasy, and they think they're happy. That's not happiness.
Yeah, I have friends that say the same. They're like, once they come into terms with that, they just wanna be loved. They just wanna be in a monogamous relationship. But they do understand it's like, I don't wanna be hanging out in, like, let's say, gay bars or with those people because there are just too sexualized or too about this or too promiscuous. Promiscuity is not good for anyone. Not for women, not for men. So the fact that they're trying to make it as a, like, oh, it's okay, you should express your sexuality. They're trying to, feminism is promoting this on women to be like, oh, you shouldn't be ashamed. You shouldn't ask a woman their body count, that all that stuff. It's like, well, if you shouldn't ask them, then that's because what, you're ashamed of it. So if you're ashamed of it, it's for a reason.
Right.
When you ask the people that are promoting these policies and stuff like that, like, why are they doing it? They don't give you like a legit answer other than it's their right. It's to prevent, to educate them better, so their mental health and da da da. It's like, under what basis? Like, shouldn't we vote for this? Are we supposed to be the Democrats are promoting this? Shouldn't we vote for this?
We should be voting for this. Unfortunately, the state of California, they passed a law that allows legislators to write the laws without the votes. If you read the California Constitution, you will see that we, the people, have the right to write the laws through initiatives and referendums. We can pull things off a law. If we don't like it, we can reform a law. We have this power, and the sad part is now we have citizens in this community who are using their abilities. You have people in Kern County that they said, hey, we want to change our sheriff election so it's not in president, so it's every other year when it's not in president. You have the state of California saying, oh, you guys can't vote to do that. If they're using the law to stop the people from passing a law that they rightfully voted for. So you have the right, and we as a community, as Californians, need to start recognizing our rights. I'm an information captain for the Palmdale Freedom Coalition. This is where I came down to kind of involve myself with you guys and let you guys know what we do. When we passed our ordinance in Palmdale, we passed an ordinance that says if any business, let's say you work here and the business says you have to get vaccinated to keep your job, that business will lose their business license. We passed that law. And what we did was we pushed and pushed and pushed as a community organization. We passed an ordinance, and when our ordinance became law, it then took precedent because there is no law that exists in the state, and there is no law that exists at the county level. There is no law that exists in the national level. So when Boeing, Northrop, and Lockheed wanted to vaccinate their employees said, hey, wait a second, look, we've got a little law in our community, and Boeing, Northrop, and Lockheed Martin backed off their vaccination mandates because we used our voices and our strength. When we went up to the council, we said, amendment, item, chapter 3, section 1 of Article 1, section 3 of the California Constitution says that we are to instruct our officials. That word is in there. Instruct, not ask, not beg, not plead, not, anything. Instruct.
They're supposed to do what we tell them to do. They're supposed to be our representative.
Right, and so we've used that. So when I had a city official in Lancaster, the opposing city of Palmdale, start talking crap about me and my group, I went to his council and I showed up and I said, because I watch his meetings, he's interrupting people, he wants to talk over people, and the first words out of my mouth was, hi, my name is Mario Presents from the Palmdale Freedom Coalition. I am invoking Article 1, Section 3 of the California Constitution that says I'm to instruct you. I'm hereby instructing you to listen to my words without interruption or comment. They were silent the entire time because I used the actual law and told them what to do. Listen to me, don't interrupt me, and don't talk.
That's crazy that we have to, like, as citizens, stand up and do the work that these politicians charging all this money are supposed to be doing. They are supposed to raising polls. They are supposed to be collecting signatures. They are the ones supposed to be asking us every day. They have in the palm of their hand or a phone. They could be using their social media to be all like, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about that? Should we vote on this? How would you guys like to vote on? Where would you guys like to meet? Should we have some kind of a meeting for this? Like all these things, but no, like we have here citizens, regular citizens doing their job. Why do we need that much government for?
Well, and that's the big thing, and that's why it makes me a conservative, is I don't like big government. I want to be as connected to the government as possible, but only for me to be able to express myself and have the government help me. I actually just took the position of campaign manager for someone running for city council because they said, hey, Mario, I don't know what to do. I said, let me show you. I can break out into teams, at grassroots groups. I can make flyers, posters. I've got the whole setup. Let's work to get you into office because you want to represent the community. My community isn't being represented properly because the representative from my district right now does a lot of business with the city of Lancaster.
Yeah.
And when you do business as a business owner with somebody else, if something comes up at a city level and you have to vote on it, you have to say, no, I can't vote because it appears that I may be with their side or maybe against them. So you have no vote. Well, as a resident of that community, I said, wait a second, that doesn't help me. I need somebody who can vote on issues, not be able to be like, oh, sorry, hands up, can't do it. So that's why I said, okay, well, let's see how we can work your campaign. Let's get the angle so we can make sure that the people understand why you're running. It's not that he's a bad person. It's that he can't represent us to the abilities that we want him to.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, wow. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I blow people's minds away.
yes, like I really think that your community or the LGBT, it stops at T, right? The LGBT community, it's being represented by a bunch of radical leftists, bunch of radical idealists, people that think all kinds of shenanigans, and it's just kind of like, what happened to you guys? You guys used to just fight for just the right to be left alone, the right to not be judged, to be normal, yes, and now you're like doing everything that people judge you, that people said you guys were gonna do if all this was normalized, and you guys are doing exactly that, doing drag shows on children, inviting children to these events that should be just for adults. Are you kidding me? Like even like you go to like Halloween events, and they don't accept children right there. Why are they accepting children? Why do they need children there for? Because they want them to think it's normal. They don't need to think anything. It doesn't matter. Their votes, their mind doesn't matter because it's going to change their mind. They're going to have their own ideas about things once they become adults. So I don't know why are they pushing all this. And the fact that, like, going back to what you said about the state of California already making it legal for pretty much parents losing their rights to their children, like it happened in Canada. Like I'm so overwhelmed. Like I was so afraid. I'm so scared that this is like the things that they're saying they're gonna happen. They're just like happening faster than I imagined. I'm like, is there any way we can stop this? Because it's happening so fast. They have so much power. They're getting everything they want done, and because of the people that is in charge right now. So all this depraved agenda is moving forward really, really fast, and now we're losing our rights without even nobody's voting on it. It's just happening. And it's very sad what's happening in Canada, and now it's happening here in California, in the United States.
So what we need to do is we need to take steps like what they did in Chino Valley. Sonia Shaw, she passed a resolution at the district level, because what happened is they took the same route that Palmdale Freedom Coalition did, because our ordinance, there was no law that existed. So at the district level, there was no rule that existed that said they couldn't say, hey, I don't want to teach this stuff. So that's why they passed that rule. As soon as they passed that rule, that's why the state passed AB 1955. Because they couldn't fight Sonia's law, because Sonia's ruling was done because there was no rule, there was nothing here in existence. Now that this exists, now you have cities like Huntington Beach trying to pass an ordinance. An ordinance is going to come in conflict with an existing law. Do you see where that works? So what we need to do is we need to highlight those areas that are working and start pushing to have those happening in our communities. We need to be going to school board meetings. We need to know what's going on.
That's what I'm going to do.
I mean, I don't know where your audience is, but when my community, your jaw's going to drop when I tell you this. The city of Palmdale, the city of Lancaster, the county of Los Angeles, and the high school district of the Antelope Valley all pitched $10 million each, $40 million to build an emergency evacuation center for the valley. My valley has 300,000 people. That's supposed to have 2,000 beds. Where's the wait there? Then they said the school district justifies it and says, look, we'll be able to use this new center if we go CIF here, if we have prom here, or we'll give you 3 days for graduations. There's 9 schools and 9 high schools, but you get 3 days for graduations. And a $4 million kitchen. My valley is mostly Latinos and blacks. The best you can give them is a $4 million kitchen when we live in an aerospace community with Northrop, Boeing, and Lockheed. What a freaking insult. And they turn around and they threw a tax bond on the ballot for the Lancaster residents because they need to pay for upgrades at the school.
They want to tax raise that. Where's all the money? What about the money you're
money they just gave the money to the city for the emergency center that they're not going to use. It's not even a high school, and then they're going to ask the residents for more money to build a new school.
Yeah, they just always want more money. But like, oh, how about well, why did you send all that money to Ukraine, to other countries? Why are you spending all this money on illegal immigration instead of making the immigration processing a lot better and faster?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the stuff that we do. When we realized that my high school district was going to pay $500 in addition to, because they are already having a separate graduation for the black students. All the black students got their very own graduation. All the other students got to go to the graduation. Everyone got to go to the graduation, but only if you were a BSU student from any of the schools, you got your own separate celebration. Then the district was going to pay $500 to bring a special guest speaker to speak to them. I said, wait a second. It's already bad enough that you're having a separate graduation for a select group of students. With a valley, it's predominantly Latino. How much of your program is in Spanish? And I called the schools. I said, how much of your graduation program is in Spanish? And every single one of them said none. None of it is in Spanish. So you mean to tell me that these parents are going to sit there like stare and clap like otters for their children when their name is called because they don't understand anything, but you want to have $500 for a special speaker for the Black Student Union graduation? Get out of here. They pulled that so fast because I brought it to their attention. And that's what our group does. That's what everyone needs to be doing. We need to be communicating and realizing that we have power. You need to look up the data in your community. I tell people, go to datausa.io. It's a website, datausa.io. You type in your city name, it'll give you all the demographics of your city. How many Hispanics, how many Asians, what's the number one job, what's the average commute time, how many people drive, what's their how many carpool, all of this information, median income, job market, what's the best, what is the number one employment.
What about your, do you have any, I was going to ask you about like information also. First of all, what is your socials or where can people find you?
You can find me at Mario Presents on X. You can find me at Mario Presents on TikTok. I am the information captain for the Palmdale Freedom Coalition. You can find them on Facebook and on Instagram. And you guys can reach out to me. This is what I do. I also became a speaker and a community organizer with the Leadership Institute. They've been training conservatives to either take office, help run campaigns, help start their own organizations. So I'm teaching other people how to basically create what I've created so that they can start effectively communicating and protecting their communities.
Okay, thank you so much. And I also want to ask you, for those people that don't know a thing about politics, which is, I know what it is, I used to be there, where were you guided to, where should they start to learn more about this? Where would be like a step one to do to really understand? Because this is the thing, there's so many people that I literally show them the information, they see it and they're like, it's not going through because they're thinking like, yeah, so what? Trump's a racist. Like they just go back to that, Trump must be a dictator. He wants to take away our rights. It's like, are you kidding me? Communism, socialism is taking away your rights, not our Constitution. The Republicans and Donald Trump, no matter how much of the non-filter he can be or says things that can be taken out of context, he follows the Constitution, which is the most important document that there is. Like other countries have copied the Constitution because of how good it is, because it follows freedom. It's about freedom. It's about our freedom. So what will you tell them to start looking to be able to learn? Okay, you need to start educating yourself and learning about this and that. I suggest you to follow or learn from where?
Start by watching your city council meeting. It's such a weird thing to say.
I know, right?
But I tell people, if you have no clue, you're in like, where do I go? Where do I find my people? Watch a city council meeting or watch a school board meeting. You're going to see your enemies, the opposition, if you will. You're going to see your friends. And you're going to be like, oh, those people are talking my language. But you'll also get to see what the city officials and the elected officials are actually doing with your money. You go read the agenda, you look at it, and you just watch it. And even if you're moving to a new community, I have friends who've moved out of California to other states, and they go, how do I find my people? And I go, that's how you find your people.
So I'm assuming there's videos on YouTube about city council, but what is the official page, or where do people used to watch these videos before?
You can go to the city website, whatever city it is, if it's City of Los Angeles, City of Orange, Santa Clarita, you look at their website. Oftentimes you just look up city council meetings or do a search on there. It'll come up with all the past stuff, and you can even watch the past stuff, and you can see how the people you've elected or how the people who are selected to represent you are behaving when they have to engage with the regular people, and some of them are really ugly. So that inspires you to be like, okay, I got to go and I got to say something. And just by watching, you start learning the process and you start learning how it's done. And then you're meeting people because they're saying the same things that you want to say. And so you're like, oh, I want to go talk to them. So that's how to start. That's the first thing.
Is that how did it happen for you? Were you ever a Democrat at some point or non-party?
Nope, I was always a conservative.
Really?
I was a rodeo kid. My parents are Democrats, but I always was raised with family values, conservatives, and then when I became estranged from my parents, I fell very in deeply with the gay rodeo circuit. So I used to ride bulls and steers, and so that's very pro-America. So I've always been very pro-America, and I started out, just on the computer, complaining like everybody else, making videos. That turned into going into the corner. That turned into marching for whatever cause I wanted. That turned into going to city council meetings. That turned into organizing a group. That turned into...
But you were marching for what? For the Democrats'
for us.
policies?
For Trump, for
For
pro-America,
Republican,
pro-America,
policies?
Second Amendment, free speech, because I understood that was extremely important. As a gay man, it's extremely important to have my free speech. I should be able to walk down the street in my...
Well, thank you so much for all the information. We'll be following you again. Let us know what's your socials again.
All right, Mario Presents on X, Mario Presents on TikTok, and then you can always follow my team, Palmdale Freedom Coalition, on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, for sure. Thank you, and don't forget to follow my TikTok at Let's Be Frank. I'll be uploading these videos. Let's Be Frank.Francesca. I couldn't put the whole thing, Let's Be Frank with Francesca, but Let's Be Frank.Francesca at TikTok. And on my Instagram, it's Francesca Antoinette or Francesca Sin Filtro.
I like that.
I think it's Francesca.Sinfiltro. So yeah, all the details will be on the description. Thank you so much, Mario.
You're welcome.
Thank you.